Most vocal warm-ups are short, 5 notes, maybe an octave, but Lily Lehman, one of the fiercest opera divas of the 19th century, wanted singers to practice the great scale, which is an exercise that stretches and expands across your entire range. It's long, it's brutal, but if you master it, your voice becomes unstoppable. Now, over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking a lot about Lily Lehman and her text, How to Sing. We've been mostly talking about the vowel placements and the vowel shapes, so if you haven't yet checked those videos out, then please do so up here, which I've been trying to add to the YouTube cards, but for whatever reasons, it's just like not working. Go ahead and check those out up there. But in this book, she talks extensively about this one exercise that she calls the great scale. Now, this wasn't just some other random exercise to add to your roster to create some variety. This was a purely technical exercise, and she believed that it was the foundation to vocal mastery. I think she even said that the great scale is her daily bread. So what is the great scale? Essentially, it's a 2-octave scale sung up and down on one single breath, connecting each note seamlessly. So that means that there's no breaks, although I think she does actually have one moment of breath, but throughout, from note to note, there's no breaks, no pushing of air. Every vowel is connected, and it's one continuous stream of sound. And this isn't just a vocal workout, it's a test of your breath, it's a test of your resonance, it's a test of your placement that we've been talking about. So again, if you haven't watch those videos before you need to, before doing this, because a lot of what she talks about in the great scale I've already addressed. The benefits that come with using the great scale is that it balances out your breath control, ensures that your breath control is of pure onset. It helps ensure that you are singing with legato phrases, which means connected phrases, and it also ensures the connection of your registers, so chest to head, and then there's even more registers and passaggio as you go higher or lower. So let's open up the book. Let's take a look at the scale that she has written down. And if you don't have the book, it's free online. Just look up How to Sing by Lily Lehman PDF. You'll find so many links. So the biggest thing that sometimes happens when doing this scale is we'll push too much air out, right? So if we're starting here, oftentimes when we're trying to be like operatic especially, we want to push so much air out of our body, and just don't. You will thank me later. Just don't. But the biggest thing that she talks about is the connection of all of the vowels, right? So E, E, U, right? And how they all kind of come down into that Y connection that I've talked about, right? So it's almost like ye, ye, you. If you can kind of combine those, that kind of connection will help ensure that this tone is forward and that the tongue is out of the way. So she actually kind of recommends that you think that you're restarting that Y sound for each note, okay? So instead of just ye and just doing E all the way up, you think that you're actually using the Y to connect one note to the next. So an over-exaggeration would be ye. You don't necessarily need to do that. You can just think of it. Now, like I said before, the tendency with this forward placement is that it's very resonant, and we kind of want to lean into that resonance, and sometimes we push too much air. But you actually don't need a ton of air. You really only need as much air as you would need to produce a vocal fry. Ah, 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 ah. Those are all the same streams of air. Now, another thing is you have to make sure that you're supported throughout the whole thing, right? Vowels are important, and the placement of the vowels will help ensure support, but it's also important to kind of tap into the breath support as we do this. So making sure that we're almost, and Lily Lehman talks about this briefly, but she says almost letting out as little air as possible. We have to make sure that we're not doing that with our throat, though. We're doing that with our lower body. Another way you can trick yourself into doing it is almost imagining that you're inhaling as you sing. So with all of these things combined, we want to ensure that those three things are working together. Breath support, freedom of the voice, right? We're not pushing more sound out, we're not pushing more air out, and placement, which the vowel will help us get. Let's start with the vocal fry first, just to make sure that we're not gonna push, okay? We're gonna do again. Already feels better. That's as much air as you need. The goal is to keep it that consistent on the way up, right? Thinking of that Y sound connecting all of the vowels. Her instruction is to breathe. Breathe. That's all it is. And you can take it as slow as you need. If it means that you have to breathe more often, that's fine. But the goal is to make sure that you're paying attention to those three things. Like I said, freedom of the larynx, freedom of the voice, good breath support. Let's just do a couple more. I can definitely feel certain things wanting to pop up as I move upward. Certain things are like my voice, my tongue, and my throat want to grab the pitches because it feels unsteady. And the reason why it feels unsteady is because I'm not supporting my breath as much as I should be. So let's just do a couple more, and this time I'm really going to focus on the breath. It's not easy. And a little sharp too. I switched to ah there because I figured out a really good placement for ah to the point where it feels really good, and she talks about this. I have a video on ah and how ah when mastered can be really nice, but when you're first starting with ah, maybe don't rely on it too much. Anyway, I digress. I needed to switch to ah because it was just getting a little too grabby and I wanted it to be more free. So I have a good ah, so I went to ah. You may feel like as you're doing this, if you're doing it right, that the scale itself is kind of carrying you up. And I actually felt that at times where almost like my voice was like, let's go, come on, let's go a little faster, which was interesting. So you may feel like that's what's happening. You shouldn't feel vocally tired after this exercise. And you shouldn't have hoarseness after this exercise. Nothing that is within this exercise should cause vocal fatigue. What you may notice is that your body, other parts of your body like your breath support, start to feel a little tired. Maybe even just like the placement of your tongue might get a little tired. Maybe even mentally you'll get a little tired. So I recommend saving this for days when you are strictly just practicing and not needing to warm up. But the other thing that Lily Lehman mentions in her book is that this scale is also really good for days when you are just not feeling vocally your best. So, you know, take everything, I don't want to say with caution, but you have to know your voice better than Lily does. And if this scale is something that just wipes you out right now, mentally, emotionally, not vocally, then save it for days when you're just working on technique. I wouldn't use this to warm up for a performance. But if you find that this works really well for you and this feels really good and makes everything about singing feel really good, then use it. But like she says, it's really, really important to be able to master this because it ensures those three things that I talked about, which will in turn ensure wonderful, easy, free singing when it comes to looking at solo rep. So if you want a stronger, more connected voice, try the scale. Start small, keep it connected, and then build it up. It's hard, it's humbling, but like Lily says, it works. If this helped, hit the like button, and feel free to leave any comments down below that you may have. Until then, I will see you next time.